Stan's World. Man, it's a beautiful weather out here now. I love this time of the year. No heat required, no AC required, no 90-degree shop. Nice. Today, I'm at the shop messing around. Hadn't posted a video in a while. I thought, well, I'll try to come up with something interesting. So I thought I'd get a block sawed on all 6 sides. Or not sawed on all 6 sides, but sawed on most of them, and it's not square parallel. I'm going to show you how I was taught to square up a block in the milling machine. Not only is it a certain procedure you go through when you do this, also there's certain things in your machine that must be done. For example, it needs to have a square head. Head needs to be trimmed in, which I have done. Miss out a couple of tenths maybe. Also, you need to have your vise squared up. Vise must be square, or it's not gonna click. You know what I'm saying? See if we can get up there and see that thing. If it'll focus. Will it focus? There we go. All right, let's set that thing in here, see what we can do with it. We're gonna set that vise up. Make sure that vise is squared. Take it into 0 there. Start in the center and go out. Maybe a half a vise out there. Go the other way. Okay, we're gonna call that good, okay? Alright, next thing we do is put our cutter in here. Put our cutter in here, then we put our block in here. The first thing we're gonna do. Okay, when you set your block up in here and you start machining, you wanna always make sure, off every operation, every time you move that thing around, always make sure you put your freshly machined side up against your solid jaw. This is your solid jaw, and this is your movable jaw, okay? Alright, so we're gonna put a cutter in here now. We're gonna square up that surface. Then we're gonna rotate it 90 degrees. And we're gonna put a pin behind it to hold it flat up against that solid jaw, okay? Alright, let's do that. Okay, let's cut that first side now. We got a 5/8 windmill in there. I do most of small work. I don't have a lot of big windmills or no little mini fly cutter or nothing. I didn't like what the fly cutter was doing, so you just got a simple little program rope to spin each side now. You go through the steps. Let's see what happens.
Let's see what happens.
Got a good square, on one, good flat I should say, good flat on one side. Now we're going to flip that block. I'll show you what we're going to do. Okay, now your number 2 set up, we've already got our front side here milled, okay? We got deburring on, and as I said, we're working off of the solid jaw. So and this side here is solid, so it's nowhere near close to square. So what you want to do is put one parallel in there, put the machine side up against your solid jaw, that your pin or a ball bearing works good, or anything with a radius on it that you can put up against there to hold it in one spot and push in on it. And then we're going to machine this. And then when we machine this, then we will have two sides that are 90 degrees. Should be very close. After we machine it, we'll check it with a square and see how close it is. And then after that, we'll go with this side on the parallel and this side on the solid jaw. Machine this, then we'll have three sides. Or you can flip it over and keep this on the solid jaw and just machine the back side. That's probably the best route to go, okay? That's probably what I will do. Keep this on the solid jaw, flip it, put the pin back in there, and do the other side. Okay, let's get on. That's just about finished up. It looks really nice, smooth. And I guess we can get on to the next setup now. And what we're going to do next, like I said, we're going to flip this block 180 degrees to where this is on the parallel, this is on the vise, and the pin is on there again. Then we'll do the other side like that. Okay? All right. Well, let's get on with that. Get her all cleaned up and deburred, and go ahead, see how square she is. Okay, we got it milled. We flipped it and did the other side. Here's where we stand. As you can see, that looks pretty good. And check the other side, off the side that was on the jaw, and it's square. Now, what we do is we got this block, this mill there, there, and there. And all three of those sides are square with each other. So now, we can put the other parallel in there and do the mill side. We don't have to use the little pin anymore. Okay? So let's wipe everything down real good and do the fourth side. Okay? Yeah. We'll get the fourth side done and put the block in there. Let's get this thing out of the way so we can work here. Then we got to do the sides. Now, there's a trick on this side. Now, a lot of people work different ways on these ends, okay? When you get this thing down here like this, a lot of guys, after they mill this, they will use the same end mill and they'll just cut a little slot across here, okay? and they'll lay that down on their parallel to square up the top and the bottom. And that's perfectly fine to do that way, okay? But I tend not to do that. I tend to like to use a long end mill and do the whole thing. But I'll show you what I'm talking about after we mill this, so you kind of understand. You have two options on doing the ends. A lot depends. I think a lot of the reason people did that back in the old days was because the mills didn't have a Y power feed on it. And they didn't want to crank the damn table, okay? So they used it on the X where they had a power feed. But anyway, you can do it either way. I just thought I'd throw that in there. You can notch it and then stand it up and mill the top. That's perfectly fine. Nothing wrong with doing that. But if you got a long end mill, you're better off to mill the whole thing, you know. Or even if you don't use a long mid mill, just step it down, you know. But let's get this thing going here. Let's edit the program just a little bit, and we'll get her going on the next side. All right, right back. Okay, we're all set to do the solid side now. We're going to mill the solid side now and fix that up. Okay. Everything in there, the parallels are good and snug, I think. No, not yet. We haven't got it tapped down yet. Let's get it tapped down here good. Get it tapped down good. Okay, now they are. Tighten up my vise a little bit there. All right. That's still kind of loose. There they are. Now they're good and tight. All right. We'll make sure both your parallels are tight when you start doing that, okay? But so you can take all the precautions in the world squaring up a block on the mill. And when you take it to the grinder to grind it square, you'll see how bad it's off. All right. Put some coolant on that bad boy. How big a cut it's going to take because it's kind of just about there. You only got 4 sides. Now if this will take it off with a D-boot real good. But I'm going to show you a little trick out here in this finishes. It's what some people, I'll do it myself too if it's a long piece, it's a thick piece. Like this block is going to be ideal to do it that way because it's a pretty good sized block. You've got to have a pretty good size end mill to mill all that size. So we'll see what we're going to do. Now what I'm going to do is just come over here manually and cut me a flat across there, okay? So you can do that and get that squared up. Lay it right down on the parallel. You can lay that right down on the parallel now if you want to. Just take the other parallel out and sit it down in there as deep as you can get it. And then mill the top. And then flip it over and then mill that. Voila, you're square. Or you can, knock it out here a little further, like this, and mill the whole thing off. So you have your choices. You can either mill the whole thing off, okay, and then it's square, then stand it up, then stand it up. But right now, see, we got that, okay? What you can do, once you get it deburred, you can put that in there. Like so. And mill your block, which is perfectly fine, okay? And you know what? I think that's what we're going to do. Let's take it off and deburr it first. Let's go get it cleaned up. And you can see what I'm doing there. Now we got 5 sides square. The square is the mill square. Square is that vise is. Square is the head is. I would say if I had to guess that block is probably square within a thousandths or two, which is very good on a mill block. It would be square within thousandths. Okay. Now we got the block squared on all 4 sides, all 5 of them. One end squared, the other end is still nothing. So now you can put that thing back in there like that and machine it the side, or you can put it like this and machine it, or like this and machine it, or pretty much anyway. That side right there, we're going to set that up here, and we're going to finish squaring it up. Make sure everything's good and clean. Tap it down and make sure it's tap it down and make sure it's good and snug. Make sure the parallel's tight. Remember, hand tight. There's one thing I have forgot to say in this video that I need to point out right now. There's 2 things you need to remember when you're working in a machine shop, okay? 2 things you need to remember when you're working in a machine shop. That's the most important things you'll ever do in your life, okay? And that is, number 1, safety. Safety always comes first. And number 2, use common sense. Common sense will save you more aggravation in a machine shop than anything else you'll ever, need. Because everything in this trade is basically common sense. All right, let's get on to milling the top here, and then we are done with squaring the block up. I'm going to drop the table a little bit, though. It's a little bit too high. There again, use the Frady Cat speed adapter. Right. And we'll just do this manually too. We won't bother running the program through here because it just it gives you a lot better finish. But you get the point, all right? You get the point. Take off about 5 or 10,000. You can take notes. Just get the dust off right. Okay? Because tomorrow, you're going to grind this block in the vise. We are. See how much it's off? I guess we need to put a little juice on that. Just a little bit. That cutter does have a little radius on it because I use that cutter mostly for aluminum.
cutting away on the final side. And that, my folks, is how we do it. At least that's how I was taught to do it. But if you got a better way, I'm all ears, baby. I'm all ears.
Well, y'all seen all the steps I went through to square up that block. Now, I know this is elementary shit. Most people see it well. You just square up a block. That's true. But squaring up with that block is the start of anything. That's not done properly. If they ain't at that point, you're doing a garbage can. So it ain't with the shit. It's got to be square. Gotta be parallel. It ain't. That's why you always grind the blocks after you mill them. And then you heat treat them, and then you grind them again. So you gotta take all that into consideration, you know. Add this, that. And when you mill a block, the block's going on something like a die. You mill it about 25,000 feet. Then you grind it within about 10,000. Then you'll heat treat it. Finish it inside. That's the standard route. Well, it's a beautiful day outside. I'm gonna get out and get some fresh air. I'm through here. I hope y'all got something out of this. If you did, don't forget to hit the like button. And if you haven't already subscribed, I got a lot of cool stuff coming. Not necessarily machine shop stuff, but some cool stuff coming. Y'all have a wonderful weekend.